There's cold one. But better than just white.
So, how was your date night with Ollie?
It was wonderful.
Wait a minute. There's more story there.
It was great.
Tough.
He's the sweetest little boy.
They left already.
We sat and we watched some sort of cartoon and we had pizza and popcorn, cookies and played with the puppies. It was very little fun.
I think it's 600 days.
So you loaded him up on sugar, sent him home.
Bet.
That's what any good grandparent does.
I know.
Right.
Still awake?
Okay.
They came to get him?
Yep.
Was he still awake by the time they came to get him?
He's so wired, he had to be.
I wish.
He was ready to go. And then we were playing with Snapchat filters. Yeah, we had a good old time. Kind of fun to have a little person around every once in a while.
I'm sure Josh has a lot of. He probably got some.
Son one time asked why that we did things for the grandkids that we didn't do for them. And I said, because we couldn't send you away. We could send the grandkids away. Big difference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought about giving you a call, Tim. Come up.
Gonna call me.
Come up and help me with cavalry last week.
Were we calving?
I had two before the snowstorm, but I didn't have any during the cold weather.
You know, there's a cure to that. It's
Well,
called fall calving.
Right.
well, the bull was supposed to go out a week later, but he wouldn't stay in, so. I was like, the year that he couldn't stay in, so. I was up every 2 hours during the night. So. Left the house Monday morning and got to come back home Saturday.
So, are your bibs like mine where they'll stand up in the corner by themselves?
I don't even wear bibs. Long underwear and that's it.
And that's it. Don't invite me.
Whatever. Well, you probably know Jim Zeller, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
See, I used to work for him. And ever since I worked for him, I never, because the bibs would just get in your way when you're building fence and stuff.
Well, but for spring calving season,
Yeah,
when it's, you know.
-20. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Pair of jeans and long underwear, that's all you need.
Well, we moved up now. We went from just long underwear to beach.
That's when it's -20. Now that the other way just, yeah.
Otherwise, it's just the long johns.
Well, this weather, you can just do short underwear, right?
Mhm.
Feels like I said in the wrong spot.
That was too much. I gotta ask him them. Are they onesies with a flap back?
That's why he wants you to come out to help him.
They're not whitey tighties.
Well, this is getting bad.
TMI, TMI.
Are we live yet?
And 3, 2. When we spring calved, we usually spring calved in March.
Mhm. That's, most of mine should come during spring break. So,
My cousin who went into law enforcement rather than going into fire EMS like he should have. Lost breakfast one morning when he watched me have to pull a calf.
Not pretty. I'm going to pull him with a tackle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we carried, that's what I carried in my saddlebags. T-bar.
Yeah.
well, I'm talking to Suzanne and we were talking about pulling the calf and she's like, oh. And she's like, you put that glove on. I'm like, well, if you don't need no glove, you just go in and push away.
I never had any.
How's everybody enjoying their lunch?
Have-
We're ready whenever you are.
See Heather, Pam. Okay, so we got a quorum anyway. All right, let's call this February meeting to order. Don't see any.
Yeah, I think we do have Kelly Hansen here with us for an introduction. Kelly?
Are you getting ready?
Yeah, okay, we're ready to go.
So pleased that I know most of you and those I don't are so proud. Hi, I'm Kelly Hansen. Personally, I am a mother of 4 beautiful children and soon to be 5. Let's keep this clean, folks. I'm getting married soon. I'm weird. I've been married to the love of my life for the last 20 years. I'll celebrate the anniversary in Europe in the coming weeks. That'll be exciting. Professionally, what you folks are interested in, I'm a developmental psychologist. I have been since 2014. And I've been teaching at the community college as an Army wife for a really long time. I'm so glad to be here. I've been provided the opportunity to do both counseling and teaching on campus. I brought you guys some cards. There you go. So if you have any questions, I think we've met.
I think so.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Love to talk to you.
You can tell from our conversations in here that, you know, you may be busy.
That's why,
Clients in the room.
that's why she wants to talk to us.
She knows me. We taught at Barton together, so.
There is no special compensation for Brian. I'm sorry.
I put in the request and it was.
Okay, very good. Well, welcome aboard. And we appreciate you coming to us. Is Manhattan going to be ultimately a retirement area?
We have brought the girls here to retire, yes.
Cool. Awesome. Welcome to the area. Enjoy it. Everybody had a chance to review the agenda. Is there any changes that needs to be made to the agenda as presented?
No.
I was just thankful that I didn't get 3 messages this time going, here's a revised agenda, here's a revised agenda, so I appreciate that.
Just a messenger, Tim.
And the messenger always gets shot. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review last month's minutes, the check register, and then we do have an organizational update, attachment 3. So if you haven't reviewed those, please do so. I've reviewed them. I don't see anything in there that I think needs to be addressed. So I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We did have one to the minutes. Heather was present via Zoom at the last meeting and that was not on the minutes.
I think any more Zoom is pretty much present.
Have her listen.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda. Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Not hearing anything from Heather, I'm sure she's good with it. Okay. Where are we at on partnerships and outreaches?
Jim had
So you
something.
have,
Go ahead.
so you have the president's report. Couple of things I want to highlight. One, we heard today that Highland Community College is closing their center in Wamego, which is more opportunity for us. And that's kind of been the theme of the last couple of weeks' discussions among a lot of admin and other people is all these things happening at the state and federal level with government is creating opportunities for us. So K-State's testing center closes March 1. They also close their center in Salina, so we're going to pick up a lot more business probably in our testing center, which is good. The State House of Representatives unanimously approved the base operating grant going into statutory language, so it becomes a permanent line item. It still has to go through the Senate. Budget stuff is from the House to the Senate. We'll have more updates later in March and at the March board meeting as far as where we are with the state. We're in a better position than the universities by far. Good movement with working with the local chamber, the city, also with Pot County Eco Devo. The guess on the street from my sources are that Caterpillar has 3 good offers and hopefully will announce something within the next 60 to 90 days. But there's fairly good news from the economic development front. We'll just hopefully they follow through. And then we're picking up enrollment at Fort Riley in welding. Chris will probably jump in on that in a bit. So a lot of good stuff percolating. It's all because we do workforce.
Jim, who's the champion in the Senate for the?
Well, Starnes will help, of course. Each of the tech colleges, especially leaning on the Wichita gang with their leadership in the Senate. Senator Billinger, as Chair Waits and Means, has always been a strong supporter for us. And I know there's a lot of lobbying from the tech lobbyists and others this week with Billinger. Next week on Tuesday afternoon, Manhattan Tech is getting recognized by Senator Starnes in the Capitol for us being #1. Harry and I met with Angel Roser yesterday, had a very good meeting with her. So there's a lot of people pushing on it because the performance measures, the rapid return on investment from the tech colleges is a story none of the rest of higher ed can touch.
Was that to say you don't expect a problem in the Senate?
Not on the statutory. The bigger issue is going to be budget because the House just did kind of a slash and cut without thinking of impact, which is typical. And then the Senate starts putting things back together. So, you know, I don't want to say we've got a problem coming. We're monitoring things. Our lobbyist is fairly optimistic that the proposed cuts from the House, a good chance of having at least 50% of it restored in the Senate. And our cuts are nowhere near what's happening to K-12 or the universities.
Thanks.
On the Caterpillar item, I did talk to the director of economic development over the weekend for Pot County. She was very positive in that that facility. If it does sit idle, it'll be idle for a very brief period. And one of the big selling points is what we can do through the college in the facility in Wamego. As far as welding labs and things like that, selling.
Yep.
Okay. Marketing. Well, you brought help tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of this might be stuff you guys have seen before, you know, just kind of giving you a refresher on where we've been this last semester, last year. We've spent a good time putting a new strategy marketing plan together to have something on paper for more than just us to reference. Our main objectives: create brand awareness, enhance program and course offering awareness itself other than just brand, develop targeted campaigns via social media, any kind of media, and then identify and track our KPIs that are important to us. was our starting point for four quick main steps. Then we developed our pipeline. Where do our customers, where do our people, what's the process they go through when they're looking to come to MATC?
So the first is the unidentified explorers. So they have not made any contact with us that we know of yet. So that's why it's important that we are getting that brand awareness and our course offering awareness. So eventually those unidentified explorers become an identified explorer. And then how those move in is we get their contact information is called lead generation. And then that goes to Neil's team. From there, they're an inquirer and they're engaging with Manhattan Tech. They're kind of in that final stage of exploration. And then next, they are a tourist. They are prospects who schedule or complete a tour with our admissions staff. And they just really seem like they have that strong intent to apply. And then the last stage is they are an applicant and they have actually submitted that application and are awaiting that admission decision.
So this was kind of our first, attempt at putting something like this together, like I said, on paper. I remember doing something like this in college, but first time bringing it here. A lot of this was with the help of Rachel and with David, who you guys met last month, the outreach coordinator, outreach marketing, kind of hand in hand, kind of put a good team together. And this part especially, we'll coordinate a lot with Neil's team, with Michelle and then with Kevin when they're out there recruiting and helping us turn those explorers into the applicants. All right. During this process, David also did some research with our current students. Want to find out what brought them here, what went into their decision making. I think Chris, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
He's he works with David a lot, so he's going to talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so we've kind of talked about it in past meetings. We've got a lot of students that are experiencing that survey fatigue. So I tasked David with finding a way to do that in a way that didn't require 10 pages of clicking, agree, disagree, or all those things. So David put together where he would actually go into the classrooms, and kudos to faculty who gave him about 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes of the time to go in and visit with students. And we ask a lot of good questions. So just a very brief overview, a lot of that. Why did you decide about Manhattan Tech? What other things were you considering? And so this one, you can see he did a good blanket over all the programs. I don't know the exact number. I apologize off the top of my head. But about 57 of them considered other options other than Manhattan Tech. That could include just going into the workforce. And then there's also then 52% of those were considering going into other technical trades or even going to NCK or those kinds of areas too. So it's a good breakdown. Finally, this one was good. A lot of our students, as we suspected, they look for that full-time employment. They're not necessarily looking for a 4-year degree, but they want to get out there in the workforce. So it's either jump into the workforce straight out of high school or re-career or go to another 2-year college. And then one of the last parts of that is just we collect this in different ways through our application, but this was asking point blank in person. How did you find out about Manhattan Tech, or what were you using when you were looking for your options? And this is a good breakdown for us because, as you can see, internet search engines was one of the top identifiers, but that's not something we currently do. And so that's why that's on our strategic plan, is to look at those SEOs or search engine optimization pieces.
So with looking at our current student population and then what we're targeting, what we have been targeting in the past, these are kind of our 4 main populations for student recruitment. High school students obviously coming out of high school, our military connections on Fort Riley, transitioning soldiers, second career seekers, those looking to reskill, upskill, and then with the adult education program and gen eds, people come in just to use those supplementary skills. From this, we created our personas. Big kudos to Rachel, who created most of these. So she's gonna talk a little bit.
Sure. So you heard about this the last time I spoke with you, but from all of the research that we have done
we came up with these, well, actually, we had more than this, but we know that we can't target everybody because when you do that, you're targeting nobody. So we came up with these three that we wanted to focus on, and we actually have an example of what this looks like. So we decided to imagine, you know, actual people. Who are we talking to? Like when we make a social media post or when we make some kind of a handout to distribute. And so this is what we have in mind. You know, what kind of a learner are they? What are they motivated by? And we want to make sure that our messaging is correct to what they're looking for. Where should we be speaking to them the most? There is some overlap with some of the audiences, but we still want to be careful and make sure that we are being as targeted as we can.
Yeah, so all of this stuff you have more in depth in your packet. We call a whole PDF strategy. So it goes into deep about all of these, what are each one of these motivations, what are their ideology, what drives them. We want to review those. What we got to and how we got to that stuff. Feel free to ask. Then we needed to describe, you know, we have our brand guide, we have our logos, we have our look. What's our voice? You know, who do we sound like? How do we present ourselves? And the easiest way that we came up to say it with was the steady hand of experience. Our instructors are experienced, our admissions team is experienced. You know, if you ask Jim, that like he said it was, what actor our voice sounds like, we can maybe chime in here, but you can that grit, that dirty hands, that type of voice is what he said he hears us.
Sam Elliott, right?
Sam Elliott, thank you, Chris. Yes, you know, so yeah, picture Sam Elliott and any of his great roles, that's MATC.
And if you look at some of that messaging that he had up there, maybe the easiest place for you to even find some of that would be on our Facebook page. You can see some of those exact words, so you can see that consistency in messaging and voice, which is one of our goals, to make sure that all of our messaging reflects that.
So with that, we kind of put together the list of marketing programs that we are currently doing, what we want to be doing, what we're working on to be doing in the future. And again, it goes into deep detail on all these in that packet. We're going to kind of just hit on a few of them that we are been pushing on lately. First of which, the big one for this, you know, high school generation population is social media. Two big differences there: organic versus promoted. Organic is what we post every day, what's happening in our classrooms, events we're doing, just to spread what we're doing. Not necessarily intended to drive that unexplored, unidentified explorer to an identified explorer. They might see this, click on something and come to us. But this is more just to that brand awareness piece, putting out there who we are, what we're doing, sharing those stories. Then you got the promoted posts, something that we're going to pay, we're going to spend money to target certain demographics. The Junction City CNA courses, we targeted, you know, Junction City and Fort Riley primarily, but it has a radius. It hits Manhattan, it hits the surrounding areas as well. So you can really fine tune who your audience is with that stuff. And we've been doing a lot of those recently. House these CNA courses because they're new in Junction City. The new stuff in Fort Riley, we're running promotions for that, just to make sure we're driving people to see that we have it since it's new. Those organic posts won't have that reach on their own unless you share them. So go ahead and share our posts.
I do.
Then our you might have noticed our recent website overhaul. Gave it a little refresh, updated with some of our new branding, made it more user friendly. Just overall, it was a much needed upgrade. Worked well with New Boston to update that. That also had updated program pages. Makes it much easier to find the information a student is wanting to know: cost, time commitment, credit hours, who my instructors are, things like that. We also made sure we were K-Board compliant. They have a lot of rules on how many clicks certain information needs to be. We added a lot of accessibility features. Neil and I worked with New Boston to get all that updated this last year. We have multiple things on our list to keep adding improvements as we go deeper into the site. But social media, website are the two main drivers of getting those out. Social media posts, sends them to the website to request their information so we can contact them, get in the room with Michelle and Kevin, and then get it in our seats.
So does the system capture details of the person that's exploring to where I've got a contact?
Yep, so.
You know, it's Josh and he's interested in this.
Yep, so for social media, for example, you know, those promoted posts, we can track demographically, you know, what age ranges, what genders are clicking on those posts. Then once they go to our website and fill out the forms, that all goes into our HubSpot system, which is our CRM system, and we can track all that information. We can track, oh, they responded to Michelle once, but that was 2 months ago, maybe we need to check in. So we are developing that more and more, because that's a new thing for us.
And it started to go as far because we integrated HubSpot into our website as a whole. So once you're integrated into HubSpot, it tracks your IP address, so I can see what you're clicking on actively throughout, or what your interests might gauge and vary on as well.
Okay.
We don't look at everyone's stuff 24/7, but it helps track a little bit of the effectiveness of what they're looking at, what emails it puts on in different areas, so that one person can look at.
And back up a little bit here if I can. Let's get, But that marketing programs sheet page, you know, we're gonna start diving more into that with, you know, the email. HubSpot has an email component, so we send out an email about open house. We can track who's clicking those links, who's signing up, stuff that just started over at the marketing program. Yeah. It is. Anyway, you know, things that the direct mail piece that we want to start doing.
Right.
You know, if someone came to campus, gave us their information, we send those flyers, put QR codes on them. We can have services where those QR codes are tracked. Who scanned them? Oh, their phone scanned them. Now they can get those ads more. So there's so much technology out there that we haven't been using in the past, that we're starting to make sure we're adding and staying up to date with all.
It sure helps with targeted marketing.
Right. So then these are our goals heading into the next fiscal year. Content planning, with Rachel and her great writing abilities, she's, you know, graphics, photography, that's like, that's my end. Putting it all in words, that's gonna be motivating in our voice, is all Rachel. And so right now, we're just, you know, posting things as they come. The ideal goal is having a social media, you know, an advertising calendar. When enrollment periods are, when our events are, so we don't have to shoot, I post that. We can just have it going automatic. Faculty engagement. I've been doing this ever since I've been here. Every semester, I'm asking faculty, what are your fun activities? What are these things that we can showcase the skills of your students? I make sure we get in there and capture that. Rachel then writes something up when we get it posted. So we can continue to do that, especially as we bring in these new programs. We gotta start getting input from those seats as well. Like Chris mentioned earlier, search engine optimization. To my knowledge, that's something we've never done, at least that we paid for here. You know, looking at those Google Analytics, working with our web host in Boston, make sure those keywords are on our website. Taking those student success stories, writing blogs to make sure it's getting searchable and findable. Because we live in Manhattan, if you go on search for plumbing school, once we have our plumbing program, it's gonna show up because it knows you're in Manhattan. So in Junction City and our other, we might not be the first one. Salina Tech might show up, Highland might show up, so we can strategically make our website better and do other things to make sure we're seeable. And then alumni and the industry stories. This is something I've wanted to do ever since I got here, and we started doing it more and more. We've got a video project coming out with middle soon that will hit on this and start this campaign of highlighting our success stories. Where are they working in the community? That's not only going to build awareness and help high school students think, oh, that could be me. It's also going to strengthen our relationship with those employers. We're going to highlight the student and that employer. I've sat in a couple PAC meetings to bring this up with them. They all seem on board with it. They all love the idea. So that's going to be kind of one of our next big pushes. How we, you know, things you'll see in a lot of these social media campaigns will be like, that's going to resonate with our audiences.
Just something very quick. It'll be 11 years with the college for me in April. And I don't think that I've ever really felt like, well, this is the first time that I feel like we have just all the right pieces. Like Bryant's graphic design, high professional caliber that we have. right here. And then Neil's team is just outstanding. Now we've got David and then Chris is on the team. So this is the first time that we've ever really had all those pieces together. Of course, we could always use more help, but we just have so much talent and just great people right now. And I'm really happy to see how this is going.
Any questions, anything from the packet you saw that we didn't hit on, you want us to talk about? You're always welcome to shoot us an email if you do see something.
The only question I have is who's gonna grow the iconic mustache and be the voice?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got it already. Right there, so.
No.
That's, you know, it's. When Chris first told me that's what Jim said, it's like, I think that's great. Does the younger generation know who Sam Elliott is? You know, it's kind of like Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe has the, you know, a big, you know, tech influence. Still, same question, the younger generation might not know. Now, a lot of our audience isn't the younger generation, those upskillers, those are those military. So, but that tone, I think, is the tone.
Won't they pick up the USAA
Right.
commercials?
Yeah.
They'll know him with Gronk.
To balance them
Yeah.
out. Yeah. Now, so, I mean, if you want to write a check, we can pay Sam Elliott to come do it.
I've been trying to get Mike Rowe to come do a commencement.
Yeah, yeah, he's expensive. I love that one.
They're very expensive.
Very expensive. All right. Well, that's
Thank
it.
you.
Closing remark on that is, with last month, you all heard from David with our outreach plan. You've now seen our marketing plan. You have the full document. So as you have the time, please go through those and provide any feedback to me or Bryant. We really appreciate having just some insight on those things. It's not nearly as dynamic as Jim's strategic plan, but the whole point on these is to help support the strategic plan of the college and reinforce all the aspects that help build enrollment and increase our credit hours as well.
Thanks, guys. Hey, you have your dissertation?
Yep.
Bill?
Yep,
We
well,
were just in time.
oh, come on. Yeah, as you can see, Rachel typed this up for us as far as like, things that the faculty are doing right now. First thing was the home show, and I know that there's a lot of students that participated along with faculty. And, I'd hate to say how many years, I think ever since I've been here, I think they've been pretty much doing the home show, so.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I've been here too.
Yeah, so, I would venture to guess that we're probably kind of a staple there. And as I was talking with some of the admin, I said, I mean, that's our students right there. Is probably the one that are going to the home show. So I know Jason, he was working there with a bunch of his students. I know Ed was there. And then just other volunteers that helped Michelle and the other people. And then Rachel and I, and actually Chris went along with us as well to Topeka, to the CCA launch, which I liked part of it. I'll say I liked the parts where we actually got to interact with other schools, got to learn some of what they did, got some of their ideas. We pulled that up. The first, I don't know, I would say probably hour seemed useless because it was just kind of an informative thing, which I could have done without. But I found it was very useful for all of us that went, and I appreciated going and learning some of the tactics and stuff that other schools use.
What's your biggest takeaway?
Well, I know what I'm gonna say is math pathways, because one of the data, so as you can see, we looked at data. And one of the things was they really bashed the retention rate of doing prerequisites. But I didn't get to comment. I thought about commenting. I said, oh, I'll be quiet for once. But they didn't have the technical colleges in there. They had the 2-year colleges and they had the 4-year colleges. So I found that interesting. I want to ask about the working variable when it's technical colleges, but We just kind of stayed quiet.
I'll be brief. So they moved us in groups twice. And at both of those tables, I talked about what the entire college is doing, not just what I personally am doing. And I talked a lot about like our partnerships with workforce and all this. And there was a couple from K-State that I was with and then other colleges, but they were almost like salivating to know more and like try to learn about what we're doing. So I think other people are kind of picking up on, we're already doing a lot of what they should have already been doing. So I think we're definitely on the right track and other colleges are taking notice as well. So I thought that was really nice.
Chris, did you have anything to add?
No, just the fact that I'm gonna turn Math Pathways into a drinking game at some point.
So, and then one of the things I wanted to throw under there as far as gen ed, so speaking of Math Pathways, I had a conference last Friday with them. And it was interesting because as I teamed Jim and Chris, K-State, they always think that they're above and beyond and stuff like that. And one of the things they said was with statistics, they go, the representative, the teacher said, well, we've got 3 different statistics classes. Stats for business, stats for engineering, and they're like, and Jennifer, the lady who's running, goes, no, you can't say that. That's against policy. And the look that he got, you could see the wheels are turning, is now you cannot actually have a math class for a specific discipline. And that's gonna hit the, you could just see them like, oh no. So right now, and actually I think Jim and faculty senate meeting the other day, I thought he was gonna choke, he was laughing so hard. Another thing they brought up was that Kansas was very innovative and actually worked with, communicated with the high schools better than most other states. So I was like,
I'm glad I'm not in most other states then.
I was like, yeah. And Jim just about fell off his stool when he heard that one. So, but one of the comments when we were at the CCA, I went and talked to one of the main ladies and I said something about, she's, one of the directors for the state. I said, you have these students that are freshmen. We need to build them up to be able to get to where they can go into college algebra statistics. I said, can we do a probationary period where we can still keep intermediate algebra to get those built up? And she's like, no, you can't do that. I said, well, what are you going to do about these sophomores and juniors? And she literally said, well, it sucks to be them. And said, well, there's going to have to, those be 2 years where it'll be bad. So I see that picture as far as like for your visions, they're either going to have to go into the workforce or they're going to probably come to technical colleges. So as I told Jim, I said, I could see a lot of influx of high school students within the next 2 years because of Math Pathways. Because if they go in and they're not actually hitting that mark, I mean, they're not gonna want to do 5 credit hour classes. So.
But I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about Math Pathways. Have anything else on your list?
Well, so I have a question.
See?
I'm not.
No.
So-
Tim's always on my side. I like Tim.
You said math couldn't be specific to a skill or a discipline. How are you gonna work with electricians? Because they have to have trigonometry.
Well, see, that's why we got lucky that we still get state funding for Tech 1 and Tech 2 math.
Okay.
And that's why it's that influx of high school students, and Darren and I were talking about, we're probably gonna, those classes make it a lot bigger because students would rather take that, get their trade and go off and work.
Okay.
Any other questions about Math Pathways?
No, let's get out of math.
I know it could be
No
so
more
interesting.
question.
All right, so as far as like the auto tech division, we have the Alex went to HVAC class in Florida. And so hopefully that will help him and hopefully he can maybe present something during in-service on that for us. Welding in Fort Riley, if you see there, WIBW now has a link, that they got from that. Kudos to, Chris and the welding team, hopefully getting that started. Yeah, Chris?
I'll jump in real quick because I just got an update from Emily Harper yesterday. We already have 5 students who have submitted applications for the 8-week welding course. So we're only 3 students away from maxing that one out. So kudos to Emily, Jacob, everybody. We've got a lot of good momentum going.
Well, and Emily, she worked at Barton as well, so she knows a lot of people at Fort Riley, so. One with Callie, that was here earlier. So the 3 of us actually all worked at Barton, so with them not allowing the full-time teachers anymore, I think that's gonna open up the gates for us as well, and so we'll do a lot more advertising and marketing then for the fall, even for our gen ed classes, so. Gotta keep that on your radar. EV technology. Here, they're working basically on getting more or adding more EV technology to the auto tech program. And I think Jeff has talked about, that's kind of what they're having to really move towards is like the electrical or the hydrogen and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be a lot of transition. And as I said earlier, I'm really proud of our program because we have those bachelor's degrees.
Are they using more of the AI technology in that EV program? Because it's probably difficult to get in EVs for them to be able to throw hands on.
It is very difficult to get EVs. They're pricey and yeah. So I think that is the end goal and the intent with more of Andrew doing the AI and VR with the trailer, trying to incorporate some of the things that we can't easily get our hands on with all of these programs.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, with the VR stuff, we're finding there's all kinds of different pieces out there that can work for what we need, but not really a one-stop shop for all our programs. So in investigating which one works the best for us. But still, there's lots of automotive stuff.
It's still a huge emerging technology for the VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured too, with the VR would be huge for a lot of these type things. And even like with auto tech, one of the things that Jeff had told me as well is even just our Zoom cameras has changed a lot of his teaching techniques. Because rather than having students just sit around a table and try and see something, he can zoom in with the cameras and he can actually see it a lot better. So even just using the technology we have here, along with the VR, I mean, it just enhances our teaching. So, again, another one for the home show, construction students, obviously with that being the home show. I liked seeing, because again, I kind of read this for the first time the other day. Brian Braun, he's been helping Alan, and I know Alan, that was one of the things was hard to get somebody to help him, an assistant. So I'm sure that Alan feels a lot more comfortable now that he's got somebody else to kind of help with that. And I think it's probably good as well for Alan to get that exposure to the student. And it's almost like you get to kind of, get your hands wet before you actually get new students, kind of like taking a smaller cohort. So I think that definitely would be very positive, and it's positive for the students as well as the way it looks. CNA classes in Junction. So Kim James Stewart, she's teaching a class in Junction City. And then State Farm Insurance Agency is actually going ahead and they're sponsoring one of the students. So do you have anything to add with that, Kim, or anything?
They've offered to pay for one high school student tuition, which is $188. So there is a link for them to the high school student in Junction City to apply. I thought was pretty cool.
And I see then also at the Manhattan High School, their CNA class. They're doing a second one there at the high school, and coming from experience or from a daughter that took the class, she made a lot of money before she went to KU. And what's really nice is when those students at the high school, when they learn that trade, when she did her classes and they saw she had CNA experience, she got in almost every class. And she said it helped a lot with her classes. So kudos to Mark. I haven't got to meet the new instructor, but kudos, because I tell all my So I don't know if Rachel does, but I know our GED students, they're always looking, for a little money, stuff like that. And I'm always like, do CNA. You can do that before you get your high school degree. You can make some money, get your GED, and then who knows, maybe you like that field. So, kudos to the nursing program, because I think that does, because we're going to the adult ed next. I think that does kind of feed with us, because I know some of our adult ed students. Chris, do you know how many have done roughly CNA?
Not off the top of my head. It is a significant, but a number of folks.
So, then Rachel's been helping with the evening classes. She loves evening teaching, so I think she said something about changing her schedule now to teaching at nights. So, but no, I do, as I'm leaving, sometimes I'll see her in the classroom with the students. And I think that definitely helps with the ESL instructors, because then they can focus more on smaller groups and they don't have just a group that's just off, doing stuff that's not really going to benefit them. But I think the students, while they're here, they get a lot more beneficial time and experience with having an additional teacher on site. So
I want to add that Lindsay and Michelle, they are the brains and everything behind all that curriculum. They just tell me what to do and I execute it. So I want to make sure that that's clear, that those two are just fantastic at what they do. And I'm learning a lot as an instructor from them.
So Rachel is the brawn and the bouncer of this group.
Right, correct.
And then finally, the KAEA conference. I won't be there, but the rest of the team will be. I'll actually be in Austin. I fly out tomorrow to head down to Austin to go to a Math Pathways conference. So, but I have got to attend 2 of them, and they're very beneficial. I don't know, are any of you guys presenting this year? Chris, anybody presenting at this one? No, because I think in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe won't do that. Especially depending on, what we do with the whole English pathways and math pathways, because the state has actually been trying to duplicate what we're doing. And we've gotten a lot of, because Chris and I are on a state action team for the adult ed side of it, with Hector and stuff, so.
KAEA, Kansas Adult Education Association.
Yeah. That is
Yep, you
correct.
got
Do you
it.
have representation on that association as far as board members or anything like that?
Beth?
Yeah, Beth is our local area 2 representative. This is her 2nd year out of 3 years. So, yep, we're fully in and locked in.
Awesome.
Any other questions from you guys?
Any special challenges that you guys are having this semester?
Weather and try to get students caught up. I already told them at spring break, I'm gonna do a whole new schedule because my schedule's all jacked up. And I actually, in my adjunct, said that he may even do some additional classes during spring break.
Jim did want me to mention the Healthcare Foundation gala that we went to Saturday night that did feature 3 students from Manhattan Tech, 2 nursing students. Both of those students had been through our PM program and are currently in our ADN program and will graduate in May. And the other one was a full-time medical lab tech student. And they had a very nice little video of them and the appreciation that they have for receiving that kind of funding and how it helps. So that was something we were not expecting, but it was pretty cool. Yes.
Yeah, Trish.
Already, so yeah.
After those presentations, Trish leaned over, she goes, is this a fundraiser for scholarships at MATC or for the health community? I said, health community.
Yeah. Yeah. But they did sponsor those 3 students, so that's pretty cool. And there were students that graduated last May that were actually scholarshiped also. There were 3 students a year ago, so through Via Christi. It's pretty cool.
Most of the scholarship that actually go through, or at least I've attended in some paper form.
Well, what's going on with facilities?
Yeah, so the drainage project over on the west side, concrete's all poured, drains are all in. They're just waiting on it to dry up a little bit so they can do the dirt work, level it all out, do the seeding, get the grass going, those things. Looks like it's turned out really nice. The budget side looks good, staying on budget, staying out of the contingency, so that project should wrap up here in the next couple weeks. Before the spring rains, you'll see in the next month, some new wayfinding signs, some big signs in the parking lot to help direct people either to the testing center or to the welcome center. The issue we're seeing now is now that we have this nice big new building is folks that don't know the area will pull in and gravitate to come in here before they go up to the main welcome center. So we're working on some signs to try to help with some of that flow. We've got some HVAC units that are, I mean, we've got units from 5 years old to 40 years old. And they're, some of the older ones run better than some of the newer ones and vice versa, to where we're starting to look at kind of a phased approach budget to set aside and start slowly rotating those out. However, we're finding that just saying, let's just go with the oldest one first hasn't been the right answer, because again, there's some that were built back then from TCA looking over that are better than some of our newer units. So we're kind of working on that plan with TCA on what would be a good approach to start rotating those out.
Is our relationship with Train, would that be anything beneficial to bring in on that?
It's worth a try. Most of those type of conversations in the past have, you know, gone more toward, we'd love to partner, we'd love to help you, let's work together, but then here's a quote for $1 million. So
Okay,
it's worth the discussion for
sure.
I just don't have a lot of confidence on where it would end up, but it's definitely worth the talk, especially as we've expanded into more. We're starting to get a pretty big training footprint here, so.
Right, and with the monitoring system and bringing it into our curricula and all that, I thought it might be a strong partnership.
Yeah, and the nice thing with them is they, if we want to stay local with, say, TCA for the actual units themselves and all that, we're Train's happy to sub that piece out and just use their controller systems for all the back end. So, and Shane, TCA, they're pretty open to working with us on that. We'll have some options, but right now, the way we're kind of treating it is to try to set aside a little bit of capital outlay budget to just hold in the back for if and when a unit were to have enough repair that it just warrants a replacement. There was an issue with that for a while, just due to we could be without a unit for 12 months if we were not ordered it. But now that supply chain, seems to all be getting a lot better.
We even started to think about the next phase of construction. We've got too much to do now, and
I mean, I think it's still there for sure, but to your second part of kind of just taking what we have and getting everything running, new programs, everything fully functional till we put a ton of energy into that. And there's also quite a bit of need for some renovation, much less expensive renovation in some of the main building to better utilize some of that space for some classes and things potentially first. But yeah, I mean, the idea of that phase definitely never goes away. Jim, you want to add anything on that?
We're getting more employers starting to talk to us about more partnerships. BHS is one. Johnson Controls has reached out to us. Josh has a meeting set up soon, forced to visit with Economy Electric. So we're trying to really strengthen those connections with some of those employers, not just for donations, but also we're starting to look at how they might work with us to provide some of the instruction and get to cherry pick some of the better students. The chamber has really stepped up, getting us involved in more meetings with them. So I really think we're gonna be making some pretty significant breakthroughs over the next several weeks and months on the employer front that we've had good relationships, but I think it's gonna take a pretty good jump to the next level.
Yeah, well, could some of those partnerships redefine what phase two is all about?
Well, yeah. So, with phase two, part of it also is consideration of the property issues with 383. As rapidly as a lot of the technology is changing because of AI and what do we need space for? Josh and I have talked, we're taking a hard look at the main building and ideas working with Dan from BBN on how that could be renovated. And again, with some of our programmers doing some of the work, but for instance, this testing, increase in testing, do we take a look at how we start reshaping part of the main building to move the testing center in there for more capacity, which allows us to look at the modulars to either knock them down or use that as a staging area as we keep renovating. I still see healthcare as the likely area for the building on the corner, if you will. But a lot of that will depend upon how much either 383 wants to get involved or the healthcare employers want to get involved. I think there's also probably more. I see that there's going to be more of an interest for us to get involved in some of the technology related to sensors, whether it's manufacturing or how do you reprogram and or troubleshoot the sensors, because sensors, frankly, are, they're involved with every aspect of anything with technology, medicine, etc. And in talking to a lot of people over the last month or so, they've all kind of said, looking at that sensor part, probably where we need to take a harder look related to what we can do and the potential for economic development, for jobs, keeping jobs in the area, again, that connection to the military. So those are some of the things we're trying to research.
Have you received any update on the timeline for signage at the Wamego facility?
Yeah, so they're finally to the point where they're asking for their 50% up front, which in the past, working with them, that means it's finally go time. So in fact, I asked about that again today, and we should see that in the next day or two. So yeah, I would be surprised if in the next couple of weeks we don't see it going on.
And it's gonna be real similar to what we have at the front of the.
Same color scheme, logo, yeah, font, style, and yeah, it should be pretty symmetrical to what you see there. Okay. I think that's it on facilities. The finance piece right after that, there was no report, but one thing we did want to bring up is we finally did get in touch with the right person at Ginzabar to at least go down the rabbit hole this summer of trying to get the bank reconciliation inside the Ginzabar system. We start with, we make no promises. We at least have a plan to.
Harry was looking straight at me.
But we at least have the pieces in place to get it set up, see how it functions. The last thing we want to do is get it set up in there and it increases the workload on the business office by 10x from a clunky system. But we at least have the pieces and now try it and see what it looks like. The issue's always been, how do we clean up 12 years of data? Because you're supposed to start it in that system on day one. It wasn't set up that way. Right. But we have a plan to work through that. So we're going to try it over the summer in our play database, see how things work, kind of run it side by side. Right?
That's right.
Business, student, workers.
Well, Sally already did hers, so.
My turn?
I think so, yes.
Got two updates. I'm gonna keep it brief, and that means like 15-20 minutes. No, I'm just playing. So Title 9, and I know it says Title 4, but Title 9 of this and has some civil rights stuff. So Title 9 stuff as you guys may or may not be aware, as of January 13th, the Title IX regulations basically rolled back like the Biden era administration, whenever they rolled it out in 2024, basically said it doesn't exist. It's legal, not allowed, so that we rolled back to the 2020 regulations. With that, we pulled the policy off the little website. I'm working through it. I've updated the procedures and the process. For the most part, the procedure and process with Title IX hasn't changed a whole lot when you roll back with that. The policy is in edit by me. I am slowly working through it because we're working through two big legal entities that their entire job is Title IX, are viciously fighting over the direction of Title IX. The goal is to take our time with rewriting this policy again. If you guys recall, it's like an 89-page policy because it's equal opportunity in Title IX and discrimination and all that stuff around in it. So we have everything for if there is a concern or with the process or procedure, how it would be handled. The policy is currently under draft and rewrite by me. Really just waiting on some of the dust to settle. And really what's going to happen is we have to wait to see who gets in there in those areas of control, because even last 5 hours, there's been issues with Title IX, what that looks like. Any questions about that? It's an FY. We're aware of it. We're working on it. The other FY is there's been obviously several executive orders signed. We've tracked most of them. Some affect universities and colleges, but for the most part, is just another say we fly under the radar. One executive order that was signed, though, that causes us a little bit pause and want to make sure that we work with a process and a procedure if it were to happen, is a safety blankets, I guess, were removed on certain areas where ICE currently couldn't operate. That was in churches. Campuses were part of that. Those blanket measures have been taken away. So some of the conversations have been, what do we do if ICE shows up on campus? What does that look like? What are our legal obligations? So did a little research, put some things together, sent it out to the deans and the rest of the executive administration. Got some feedback there, as well as feedback from Chris's crew with the ESL adult ed population, other individuals. And then send it off to legal to get their thoughts and insights on the matter about if somebody were to show up on campus that claims to be ICE, what would be an employee's response to that? And then what would be an administrative response with that, and how would we handle and mitigate that issue? So it's more of it goes into our emergency preparedness plan, process procedural plan. So we got feedback, I believe, about a week ago from legal, and I'm just now putting it into a detailed document that we can disseminate so that people are aware that if it does show up, what does that process look like? What do I do so that we don't kind of flounder? Because it is a little bit different from the police, and there's different warrant types, and there's a whole lot of things. So we want to make sure that we're obviously operating within the scope, and then also, doing what we need to protect our students here on campus as well. So any questions about that? Did I miss anything, Jim, or anyone?
No, I think you got it. We've been minimally impacted by the actions of the federal government compared to the rest of education. So hopefully we'll keep it that way.
Do you have even a feel for the students that could be impacted if ICE came on?
I do not, because I don't like to know that data.
I would agree with you.
So we currently, obviously, and we have in the past, we have some students that I don't know, just because you don't have a social doesn't mean that you would be targeted from that component. So it would be minimalistic from our vantage point. Obviously, my biggest impact or scope of area on campus that would be a cause for pause would probably be in Chris's area more than anything in the adult ed sector. But we do have some individuals that obviously have attended MHS and have lived here forever and then come to us as well. That could possibly be So the data exists, we don't collectively like pull the data to know where we live on that.
I wouldn't think so, although I think I would take a look at it enough to know if I'm down 2, 5, or 50. Not by name, just kind of, what's the
I can-
basket that's this big or this big.
And say if you were to look at my population of undergraduate students, I can count it on.
Anything that we need to know about the grants other than what we read?
I think everything else is in my report.
Okay,
I included a copy of testimony, for putting the base operating grant into statute. Like I said, that was unanimously approved at the House. There's a FYI policy update. We clarified about how the process for donated equipment and supplies, so that we're not just a dumping ground for everybody's old refrigerator, old car, etc. And that Chamber of Commerce had their 100th year celebration annual meeting, and there's a copy of the full page in their annual report about our new building and being #1. So they highlighted us, which was nice. GMCF's celebration is coming up in a few weeks, and I'm on K-Man Monday with Vern and Dave to talk about our relationship with GMCF. So again, good recognitions, but those do pay off with a lot of elected officials as well. They're seeing the results. We're looking at some, with the ideas, the new program is probably the hardest thing, and Carrie can jump in on this, is attracting who we need to teach, like an industrial maintenance technology or plumbing or HVAC in those areas, because they make so much more money on the real job side. That's why I want to do the partnerships with the employers to see if we can work that arrangement, because getting that skilled talent for those technical programs is getting more difficult. Chris mentioned, and Brian did as well, this breakthrough with CNA is good. How do we keep pushing that related to healthcare? Because we have some funds to use through GMCF and the Chamber with the Healthcare Task Force. So a lot of good movement on a lot of fronts with the employers. And there's a lot of stuff going on. You see, the rest of the agenda on meetings and events coming up the rest of the semester. It's busy time. Everybody's been busy. The crazy weather, sinus infections, flu, all that stuff. Everybody's kind of dragging, and I tried to remind people, of all the places to be in education, from K-12 into higher education, we're in the sweet spot. So we've got a good thing going. We still have a lot of people talking to us, wanting to come see us, what we can do. Same thing with the other tech colleges. I think it's probably good due to the federal actions and even some of the state actions at the state university level. I think it's even more apparent that it's a good thing not to be affiliated at this time and have the word university in our name. Frankly, that's not a plus right now on a lot of fronts. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, or otherwise we can get through this meeting quicker and get everybody home.
is there any action that we need to take for
The policy,
policy on the donated supplies, equipment? I
no,
didn't think.
it's just an updated FYI.
Okay.
Clarify some of the processes we need employees to take before they say yes to anything, or before any of us say yes to accepting anything.
Okay. Do we have anything else that we need to discuss?
Not for me.
Chris, are you good?
Yes, sir. All good.
Harry?
I'll give one quick shout out though to Leslie for the invite to the Kiwanis Club, because that's where I met Heath and made some good connections with some folks out in Junction City. So thank you again, Leslie.
Harry, do you have anything for us?
I'm good.
Thanks, Harry.
You bet.
Heather, anything from you?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Bye.
All in favor?